Geronimo by Shepherd. You're listening to Insanity Radio 103.2 FM. I am White Shadow, and it is Christmas Eve. It's Christmas Eve. It's the evening. It's sort of the morning of the evening of the Christmas period or something. I am going to be with you for the next 2 hours. 2 hours. But before I get started on some Christmas festivities, I've got a fun story, an interesting story actually. I found this out just a couple of days ago and I wanted to share it with you real quick. King Tutankhamun. Every time I gotta say that, I say King Tutankhamun, and that just does not sound right. King Tutankhamun's dagger. A recent study from Pierre and Marie Curie University in Paris shown that the dagger found in King Tutankhamun's tomb was not made of ordinary iron. It has extraterrestrial properties. It was forged from meteorites. The space metal was worth 10 times its weight in gold back in the day, and it puts a whole new twist on our level of history knowledge as well, because the dagger predates the Iron Age by around 2,000 years, which means that King Tutankhamun was way ahead of his time. Let's do this. It was reported that the person who found the dagger in the tomb reportedly said, I be finding myself some shiny treasure. I'm going to throw on a few more tunes, but stick around for the next 2 hours. We have some interesting Christmas stuff going on. Yes, we do. All I Want for Christmas Is You. Before that, we were listening to I Believe in Father Christmas by Greg Lake. You're listening to Insanity Radio 103.2 FM. I am White Shadow. It is Christmas Eve, and I'm going to be here for the next hour and 45 minutes. Now, I have been trawling the internet over the past few days, trying to find some interesting, fun, and just maybe inspirational Christmas stories. And I've plucked out a couple of stories that I'm going to be sharing with you over the next hour, but I'll also have some very, very interesting Christmas facts lined up for later in the show. But first, I want to share this story with you because because I do and because I can. Now, George was a man that worked for the post office, and his job was in the sorting depot, processing all the mail that needed to be shipped out. And one day, just before Christmas, a letter was handed to him that simply said "to God" in very shaky handwriting, and with no other clue on the envelope, George opened it up to read the letter. And the letter said, "Dear God, I am a 93-year-old widow living on a state pension. Yesterday someone stole my purse. It had £100 in it, which was all the money I had in the world, and no pension due until after Christmas. Next week is Christmas, and I have invited 2 of my friends over for Christmas lunch, and without that money, I have nothing to buy food with. I have no family to turn to, and you are my only hope. God, will you please help me?" And George was really, really touched by this, and having a kind-hearted nature, he put a copy of the letter on a staff notice board. The letter touched the other postmen as well, and they all dug into their pockets and had a bit of a whip round, and between them they raised £95, and using an officially franked post office envelope, they sent the money to the old lady. And for the rest of the day, all the workers felt a nice warm glow thinking of the lovely thing they'd done. And Christmas came and went, and a few days later another letter arrived at the sorting office addressed "to God." The postman gathered round while George opened the letter, and they started reading it, and the letter said, "Dear God, how can I ever thank you enough for what you did for me? Because of your generosity, I was able to provide a lovely luncheon for my friends. We had a very nice day, and I told my friends of your wonderful gift. In fact, we haven't got over it yet, and even Father John, our parish priest, is beside himself with joy. By the way, there was £5 missing. I think it must have been those thieving fellows at the post office." Now, I absolutely love that story. It reminds me of Oscar Wilde's quote, "A good deed never goes unpunished." I think it's absolutely brilliant. I've got some more amazing music lined up. I'm going to get some more Christmassy stuff going on here. It's got to be done. It's Christmas! No, that's coming later. I just wanted to say it's Christmas, because it's Christmas. You can't say Christmas too much. There's a lot of people out there. So trust me, you can.
I'll have a blue
Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas by Wendy Ho. Before that, we had Blue Christmas by Elvis Presley and Fairy Tale of New York by the Pogues. You're listening to Insanity Radio 103.2 FM. I am White Shadow, and I've shared one whole story of this Christmas season. I have another one. It's not quite as Christmassy as the last, but I'm going to share it. I want to share it. I quite liked it. See, one day in the early September, the chief of a Native American tribe was asked by his tribal elders if the winter was going to be cold or mild. The chief weren't too sure, so he asked his medicine man, but he had also lost touch with how to read the signs from the natural world around the Great Lakes. Neither of them had any idea about how to predict the coming winter, so the chief decided to take a more modern approach, and the chief rang the National Weather Service, and the National Weather Service said, yes, it's going to be a cold winter, they said. He went back to his tribe and he told the men to collect plenty of firewood. 2 weeks later, the chief called the weather service and asked for an update. Are you still forecasting a cold winter? And the weather officer said, yes, very cold. As a result, the chief went back to the tribe and he told his people to collect every bit of wood they could find. Another month later, the chief had called the National Weather Service once more and asked again about the coming winter, and the officer said, yes, it's going to be one of the coldest winters we have ever had. And the chief said, how do you know this? And the weatherman said, because the Native Americans of the Great Lakes are collecting firewood like crazy. I like that one. I like that one. Now, I said I was going to share some interesting Christmas facts. Some of them are fun, some of them are interesting, some of them are very educational. And I'm going to get started straight away. I'm going to roll straight into this with some of the smaller ones I've found, such as hanging stockings out comes from the Dutch custom of leaving shoes packed with food for St. Nicholas's donkeys. Apparently he would leave small gifts in return. Another is the tradition of putting tangerines. This one's an interesting one to me, because the tradition of putting tangerines in stockings come from the 12th century French nuns who left socks full of fruit, nuts and tangerines at the houses of the poor. Now, people still say that this is a tradition that's ongoing. Apparently this hasn't died yet, and I don't ever remember. I feel like I'm getting on a bit, and I don't ever remember ever having a tangerine in my stocking in anywhere, and it makes me real curious, because the only people I really hear talking about getting tangerines, oranges for Christmas has been my grandparents, and it's still out there. There's still things all over the internet saying this still goes on. I don't know if this is going on outside of the UK or if the UK is still doing it, but if you know anybody who still gets tangerines in their stockings at Christmas, please do let me know. Tweet into the studio at Insanity Radio and let me know if you know anybody who still holds this tradition, because I don't know if it could be called a tradition anymore if it doesn't happen anymore. And I'm really curious. I really am. The first commercial Christmas cards were commissioned by the civil servant Sir Henry Cole in London in 1843. It featured a family drinking wine, and in 2014, one of them sold for £8,469. I'm guessing they won't be buying many of them for neighbours and friends. Another interesting one is robins on the cards. Robins started as a joke 150 years ago on the cards, when postmen used to wear red tunics and were given the nickname of a robin as a result. And it's quite interesting, because the robin has pretty much become almost like some kind of national icon. You'd be hard pushed to find a traditional festive Christmas card that does not have a robin on it. It's amazing how something that can start off as a postie joke can turn into such a big thing. And the Yule log, I'm going to share one more before I go put on a few more Christmas musics, because we want Christmas musics. The Yule log was originally an entire tree that was carefully chosen and brought into the house with great ceremony and burned over the 12 days of Christmas. And it's now chocolate cake. Things just get better. Things just get better. And speaking of getting better, I love this song. I have picked this especially for today because it's Christmas.
Let it snow.
Let It Snow by Dean Martin. Before that, we had I Want a Hippopotamus for Christmas by Gail Peavy. And What Christmas Means to Me by Stevie Wonder. You're listening to Insanity Radio 103.2 FM. I am White Shadow. It is Christmas Eve, and I have been sharing a few Christmas facts and a few Christmas stories, but I have plenty more facts lined up. And I have some more things going on later in the show as well, so stick around. But I'm going to dive straight back into these facts because I have one here that's quite fascinating to me. This one is really quite interesting. Scientists have calculated that Father Christmas would have to visit 822 homes a second to deliver all of the world's presents on Christmas Eve, travelling at 650 miles a second. That is some impressive speed. I mean that is impressive speed, and that is a lot of. They certainly beat some of the other couriers out there when it comes to delivering gifts, because 822 homes a second. That is something. I came so close to naming a couple of courier companies I have in mind. I came so close. And the number of rolls of sellotape sold in the UK in the run-up to Christmas stands at around 6 million. 6 million rolls of sellotape. And I mean, I reckon about 500, somewhere around 5.99 million of those rolls of tapes that are runs where you can't find the start of the tape. It's still to be confirmed, definitely. Now, apparently, still today, 13% of families in the UK, 13% of families in the UK always attend church on Christmas Day. It does surprise me that it's still as much as 13% of families attending church on Christmas. That does surprise me. That is still something. And 27% of families sit down to watch the Queen's speech. Another interesting little fact, 1957 was the year of the first ever televised Queen's Christmas speech. 1957. Now, around 6.8 million Apple and Android devices are expected to be activated on Christmas Day. 6.8 million. That tells me that there's at least 6.8 million Android and Apple devices that are going to be given out as gifts in the UK this year. That is really something. If somebody could throw a few more of them my way, that would be great. Now, a while back, I heard this. There's a bit of a thing going on that the word Xmas, spelling Christmas with the word X, M-A-S, was irreligious. That apparently that was sort of an anti-Christian kind of thing, and I've been hunting around on the internet because something caught my attention, and apparently the abbreviation Xmas is not irreligious. Apparently the letter X is a Greek abbreviation for the word Christ. During the 20th century, there were only 7 official white Christmases in the United Kingdom. During the 20th century, there were only 7 official white Christmases in the United Kingdom, and the chances of a white Christmas in London this year is apparently 6%. I've just got a tweet into the studio. I've just got a tweet from Les that says, I have 2 people sitting with me now, other than your grandparents, who remember the tangerine tradition. But for one, it was a pomegranate. That's a pomegranate. A pomegranate instead of a tangerine. Okay. So 2 people. Okay, so that's interesting. So the tradition still does exist to some extent. That's it. Thank you for tweeting in. Thank you. Where was I? Yes. Now this one made me chuckle when I found this made me chuckle. Apparently, Bethlehem Hotel has 210 rooms, and in 2001, Bethlehem Hotel had 208 of those rooms available. I'm going to go and gather my thoughts. I'm going to throw on a few more Christmas songs. Let's put on a few more musics. Let's put some more musics on. Yay! Stay tuned to Insanity Radio 103.2 FM. I'll be back. That's all, folks. Jingle Bell Rock by Frankie Ford. Before that, we had Santa Baby by Kylie Minogue. You're listening to Insanity Radio 103.2 FM. I am White Shadow. It is Christmas Eve, and I am in the studio for another hour and 10 minutes. And I've been sharing some Christmas facts, and I've got a few more I'm going to scroll out before we throw on a bit more music. With Christmas trees. Around 8 million natural Christmas trees are used in the UK every year, and they outsell artificial Christmas trees by a ratio of 3-1. Now, at first, when I first read this, I was quite surprised, but then I gave it some thoughts. And with artificial Christmas trees, a lot of people tend to keep their artificial Christmas trees. Once they have them, they don't usually replace them every year like you need to with a real natural tree. So it kind of doesn't surprise me that the ratio is 3-1 on that. That kind of doesn't surprise me. Now, Christmas trees usually grow for about 15 years before they're sold. 15 years before a Christmas tree is set and ready to be sold. That's a lot of waiting time. So if if you wanted a Christmas tree in 15 years, it's just as well you don't have to pre-order them 15 years prior. That would be interesting to see. Now, the best-selling Christmas single ever is Bing Crosby's White Christmas, which has shifted over 50 million copies worldwide since 1942. In Britain, the best-selling festive single is Band-Aid's Do They Know It's Christmas, which was released in 1984 and sold 3.5 million copies. Wham! Is next in the same year with Last Christmas, selling 1.4 million. Now, in the video, another interesting, it's a very little fact, but I found it quite interesting. The video of the movie Last Christmas was the last time George Michael was filmed without a beard. Why am I going on about movies? It's the video. The video of the, you know what I mean. It's been a long day, and it's going to get longer. Yes, the video of Last Christmas was the last time George Michael was filmed without a beard. David Bowie, this is an interesting little thing. David Bowie hated the choice of Little Drummer Boy as the song he was supposed to sing with Bing Crosby in September of 1977. But luckily, the producers and songwriters Buzz Cohan, Larry Grossman, and Ian Fraser quickly decided to compose the counterpart lyrics and a new bridge for Bowie to sing alongside Crosby. They found the nearest piano and banged out Peace on Earth in about an hour and pretty much saved the day. Now, the Christmas song, more commonly known as Chestnuts Roasting on an Open Fire, was written during a summer heatwave in 1944. That's quite an interesting one. I just sat there in the middle of a summer heatwave, writing a song that just writing a Christmas song. That's impressive. That's impressive. Now, a survey carried out in the UK in 2016 established that Silent Night was voted as the nation's favourite Christmas carol. Holy Night, Oh Holy Night was second, which has been sung by Mariah Carey, Cher and Bing Crosby. And it held the number one spot from 2003 to 2013. And in third place was Hark the Herald Angels Sing. And I'm gonna throw on some more music. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna throw on some more music right now. Let's keep this Christmas stuff rocking.
So this is Christmas. If you feel like that's what you want to do.
Happy by Pharrell Williams. Before that, we had Happy Christmas by John Lennon and Sleigh Ride by Ella Fitzgerald. You're listening to Insanity Radio 103.2 FM. I am White Shadow. This is Christmas Eve, and I am in the studio for another hour. And this is just an amazing day. I think I'm starting to run out of Christmas songs on the system now. I think I've played almost every Christmas song ever. I'm running out of ideas. I'm running out of things to be searching for. This is going to be fun. So I thought I'd throw in a bit of Happy by Pharrell Williams because it's close enough to happy Christmas stuff. That'll do. It's good. I'm good with that. Now, I have been sharing a few Christmas facts, and I've still got a few more left that I want to share with you before I move on to the next thing on the agenda today. So I'm going to roll straight in there. I'm going to jump in with the recent poll that Yahoo held. In a recent Yahoo poll, users voted the most popular Christmas film of all time as Home Alone, with The Muppets Christmas Carol being second and It's a Wonderful Life being third. Now, I don't remember seeing A Wonderful Life. It's a Wonderful Life. I don't remember seeing that before. I know I have definitely seen The Muppets Christmas Carol over and 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 over again. Now, another interesting little fact here. In Home Alone, the photo of Buzz's ugly girlfriend was actually a boy because the director Chris Columbus thought it would be too cruel to make fun of a real girl. The boy used in the picture is the art director's son. A few more movie facts going on here. The lead role in the film Elf was originally going to be given to Jim Carrey. In The Grinch, Eddie Murphy and Jack Nicholson were both considered for Carrey's part, and in Home Alone, the part of Harry was offered to Robert De Niro. It's amazing how things end up. And can you imagine if we did take the time to switch all of these actors around into all these different roles, how different the films could have been? Can you predict the results? Can you imagine if the lead role in the film Elf was given to Jim Carrey? How different the film would be, the different audience it would attract. It's fascinating to think about. In the film White Christmas, the part of Betty is played by Rosemary Clooney, who is George Clooney's auntie. The story, and yes, the film Jingle All the Way. I remember the film Jingle All the Way very, very well. And the story from Jingle All the Way was based on the shopping craze for the Cabbage Patch Dolls back in the 1980s. I also remember the Cabbage Patch Dolls. I think I've mentioned them once or twice in my show over the past 6 months. And I'm going to spin out a few quick Christmas money facts. It's estimated that in the UK, around £700 million will be spent on unwanted Christmas gifts. Awesome. Around £51 million will be saved through the use of discount vouchers. Definitely awesome. And UK Christmas spending is almost double the European average. The UK literally spends almost double the European average at Christmas time. That's a bit of a mind blower, isn't it? That's a bit of a mind blower. And an estimated £18 billion is going to be withdrawn from cash machines over the whole Christmas period. £18 billion of cash withdrawals from ATMs. That's wow. That's wow. But something else that surprises me. Now, Lego has always been a very popular toy for children and sometimes adults. I love Lego. But apparently, during the Christmas period, nearly 28 Lego sets are sold every second. 28 Lego sets every second. Now, I haven't done the maths to work out how many that is in an hour, but I imagine that's a lot of numbers. That's a lot of Lego sets. 28 Lego sets every second over the Christmas period. I can't even emphasize that enough. I really can't. And now, in 2012, Reddit organised a Secret Santa event which attracted a record-breaking 30,000 participants. 30,000 participants in a Secret Santa, organised by an online. I want to call it a forum, but I'm not quite sure what to describe it as. It seems to be a mishmash of a lot of interesting things. But yeah, Reddit in 2012 broke a record of 30,000 participants in a Secret Santa. And I have just randomly decided that I want to throw on a few more tunes, so stick around. Smile by Uncle Cracker. Before that, we had Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer by Elmo and Patsy. You're listening to Insanity Radio 103.2 FM. I am White Shadow, and it is Christmas Eve. Just in case you didn't know, it's Christmas Eve. You know what that means? That means tomorrow is Christmas Day. Yeehaw! Now, it's Christmas! Over the last hour and 15 minutes, I've been sharing some fun stories, some fun facts, and I've got a handful of facts. I fancy chatting a little bit more. I was going to throw on a few more tunes before I start talking again, but I do want to share these last few facts I have here right now. I'm going to start off with a few sort of global facts, around the world kind of things we've got going on here. See, Santa Claus has different names around the world. In Germany, he is Kris Kringle. Is Lieberfana in Italy, and Père Noël in France, and Dushka Moroz, a Grandfather Frost in Russia. A Grandfather Frost, that's a very interesting one. I really, really should remember to look more into the Russians' idea of the history of Father Christmas, because Grandfather Frost, Dushka Moroz, that sounds interesting. I'm curious. The Japanese people traditionally eat at KFC for Christmas dinner, thanks to a successful marketing campaign around 40 years ago. KFC is so popular in Japan that customers have to place their Christmas orders 2 months in advance. 2 months in advance to eat Christmas dinner at KFC in Japan. Interesting. Now, a large part of Sweden's population watches Donald Duck cartoons every Christmas Eve, which is a tradition that started back in the 1960s. Donald Duck, I could almost go along with that. I think it was I remember watching. I can't remember now. It was a long time ago. I think did we have a Disney's Christmas Carol? I can't remember. I'm getting too slow for this. My brain is starting to melt. Okay, a couple more food facts, then I'm going to throw on a few more Christmas tunes. The amount of beer consumed over Christmas in the UK is enough to fill 57 Olympic-sized swimming pools. 57 Olympic-sized swimming pools. That's a lot of beer. That's a lot of beer. And the UK Brussels sprouts industry is worth £650 million, and the area of the country covered by Brussels sprouts fields is equivalent to 3,240 football pitches. 3,240 football pitches of Brussels sprouts field to supply the demand. That apparently we're a nation of Brussels sprouts lovers. Maybe that would explain the battered Brussels sprouts idea. It seems to be catching on. I've been looking into it recently, and apparently a couple of weeks ago I shared a story about a chip shop in Devon that's started selling battered Brussels sprouts, but apparently it's not the only one doing it anymore. It's a craze that seems to be catching on, and there are places in London, there are places in the north, there are places in the Midlands that are all selling battered Brussels sprouts, and they seem to be gathering a bit of a fan club. It seems to be happening. It is becoming a thing. And speaking of things becoming things, the total amount spent on Christmas puddings in the UK is £48 million. Every year we spend £48 million on Christmas puddings. That's a lot of Christmas puddings. That's a lot of calories. That's a lot of calories. Last but not least, the very last fact of the Christmas special before we start rolling on to other things. The number of turkeys cooked in the UK every Christmas currently stands at around 10 million. 10 million turkeys cooked in the UK every year. That's a lot of feather plucking. I'm going to throw out a few more tunes. Stick around, and I'll be back after what? After this one. That's the one. There we go. Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree by Lynn Anderson. Before that, we had Merry Christmas Everyone by Shakin' Stevens and the Oh So Festive Chandelier by Sia. You're listening to Insanity Radio 103.2 FM. I am White Shadow. It is Christmas Eve, and listen to this. Something really exciting has happened here in the studio. Something really exciting has happened. I am joined in the studio right now by none other than Father Christmas himself. Hi, Father Christmas.
Hello. Can I start by saying what an honor it is to be here today on Insanity Radio?
Thank you. No, it's an honor to have you here.
You know, I listen to Insanity Radio every day.
Thank you.
Especially when my favorite presenter is on. You know, that splendid chap, White Shadow.
That's me.
No.
I'm White Shadow.
But you look so young. White Shadow has the brains of 1,000 wise elders.
Thank you. So, Father Christmas, are you all set and ready to go and deliver the presents to all the children around the world?
Oh, is that tonight? I mean, of course I am. I'm Father Christmas. You don't think I'd leave something as important as that to the last minute, do you?
No, of course not. I was just making conversation. Now, earlier in the show, I was sharing some facts about Christmas, and scientists believe that you have to visit 822 homes per second and travelling at 650 miles a second. How is that even possible?
Well, although the reindeer pulled the sleigh initially to get it started, my sleigh is equipped with sophisticated jet engines that use energy-rich liquid fuel in a conversion process called combustion, which creates a powerful pushing force we call thrust. The dimensions of the sleigh allow for air to create an upward force that we call lift, which helps to hold the sleigh in the air. Because intake, compression, combustion, and exhaust all happen quite simultaneously, the jet engines produces maximum power all of the time, allowing the reindeer to rest between takeoffs.
You could have just said it's powered by the sound of children's laughter or something.
Oh, yes, that as well, yes, of course.
But that does not explain how you deliver the presents to 822 homes every second. How do you move that fast?
If you ate as many cookies as I do at Christmas, you would have quite the sugar rush too.
Yeah, of course. So there's a lot of grown-ups out there that think that Father Christmas doesn't exist. Now, how do you feel about that?
Well, you see, it's quite easy to make the presents and deliver them to children around the world, but if I had to make the presents for the grown-ups as well, that would be a lot of hard work. Children need to rely on other people to bring them some magic at this time of year, but grown-ups have their own way of making a magical Christmas. So, with the help of my elves, we started a rumor among the grown-ups saying that I don't exist, so that they would start sharing their kindness with each other, which lets me focus more on all the toys for the children out there.
You started the rumor?
Yes.
I'm impressed.
I know it's hard for grown-ups to hear sometimes, but you have to remember that you are the magic at Christmas. If you want to see more magic at Christmas, be the magic that you want to see. Take some time to play with the toys from your cracker. Don't listen to your favorite music at Christmas. Hear your favorite Christmas music. Turn it up a little louder. Laugh a little harder. Take a lesson from me.
What, like this?
Ho, ho, ho! Yes, that's very good. Anyone could think you were me.
Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to here on Insanity Radio?
Oh yes, most definitely my wife.
And what's your wife's name?
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. If you're listening in right now, huge shout out to you and wishing you a very Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
I see what you did there. Very good. Very good.
Father Christmas, would you like to see us out of this next link?
I can't see why not. You're listening to Insanity Radio 103.2 FM.
I Wish It Could Be Christmas by Wizard. Before that, we were listening to Merry Christmas Everybody by Slade. That one was a request from Les, and Santa Claus is Coming to Town by Jackson 5. Father Christmas has now left the studio. Father Christmas has gone, and he has taken my throat with him. All of this is a lot more convincing when you don't have 3 cameras on you. I am pretty much coming to the end of my show now, and it's just as well because my throat is definitely gone for some inexplicable reason that I just could not possibly comprehend or explain, honestly. I'm still curious about these pomegranates. This is officially the first time in the history of anything ever that I have heard somebody receiving the Christmas gift of a pomegranate. I'm going to be pondering on this for the rest of eternity. I wonder if there is some meaning, or maybe they just didn't have a way of getting a tangerine at the time. And, I'm going to have to investigate. I will have to investigate this. In case I haven't already said it, you are listening to Insanity Radio 103.2 FM. I am White Shadow, and it's Christmas Eve. It's Christmas Eve. It's one more sleep until Christmas Day, which also means there's only one more Advent calendar chocolate left, and that's not what we can't think it like this. We can't. It's Christmas. Positive people. Positive. Be happy. Yeah, okay, I'm going to stop rambling now. I'm going to start getting ready to get out of here and get ready to start doing some Christmas stuff. I had something on my mind. My brain literally just went blank. I had something I was going to say, and it's just literally gone. I have got 3 more songs lined up to see me out of this show. Of course, next up we're going to have the Let's Get Ready to Rumble by PJ and Duncan, because that just has to be done. But then we have one of my favourite Christmas songs of all time, Christmas Time by The Darkness. And last but not least, before we start moving over to the next hour, is going to be Mistletoe by Justin Bieber. I'm sorry. You have been absolutely wonderful. Make sure you enjoy your Christmas, because you won't be getting another one till next year. You won't be getting another Christmas till next year, so make the most of this one, people. Make the most of this one. I'm going to sign off because I'm just rambling. I'm out of here. I am White Shadow. I am going to be disappearing. Don't forget, I will be... That's what I was going to say. Now I remember. Just in a nick of time. I will be here for New Year's Eve as well. I will be joining you for 2 hours on New Year's Eve, because I'm stealing all the holidays this year. I feel like the Grinch. So tune in again. Well, tune in all the time anyway, because it's Insanity Radio, and Insanity Radio is amazing. I'm all thoughts of my own. I'm going to sign out. I'll see you all next week. Tune in to Insanity Radio 103.2 FM from midday until 2 o'clock. Next Sunday, I'll be here for a New Year's special. Rock on. Okay, I'll do this. My throat is hurting and I am getting dry, but let's do this.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages, let's get ready to rumble.
And a Merry Christmas.
Let's get